Yeah, we're not exactly known for enjoying math here in this scene, but regardless, we are going to be kicking off this series on Oxide LE. We're in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, swinging all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. Our red Zerg player coming out for the Lambo Germany, he is going to be representing Shopify Rebellion. He is Lambo.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Oxide LE, we have the blue Protoss player currently representing the land of Poland for the first time this season. It's also representing Team 3D Clan. It is Rail.
Yeah, that's kind of a interesting thing to point out about Rail. We were notified by the admins yesterday to use a Polish flag when we make a graphic for him instead of the Russian flag. He is originally from Russia, but from what I understand, has been living in Poland for some time, and has just decided to rep the land of the Poles for this season at least. It's one of those things where when he does get casted on the mainstream, kind of selfishly, I want him to win his series just so he can be asked about that.
Yeah, it would be nice for us to get a bit of a story, or find out what the story is behind that, because for those wondering, it does seem like he does have Polish residency, and he does want to kind of represent Poland here in this tournament. So, of course, you know, we can oblige, right? And so will all the other casters, so of course he can do that. Yeah, so good, so good.
I tell you, if I was ever as good as any of these players, I would represent Poland. I would want to represent Poland. It's a neat place.
I don't think that's how it works, Yaku. You're like, man, just flip my flag upside down, alright? That's all I gotta do.
You're done.
Yeah, god damn it, Yaku. Oh god, as we are getting into our second ZVP of the day, and the other thing that I'm really interested in, especially because Lambo is such a high-profile player, there were a lot of people in the chat, you know, lamenting about the last series, like, oh my god, Void Ray, Skytoss, am I right? Like, how do you deal with this? Alright, well, my eyes are on Lambo. Right? How do you deal with this?
If Rail decides to go that route.
True.
As already he starts with the Robo facility not opening up with a Stargate.
Mate, are you feeling Robotics Bay?
It's gotta be, right? There's no Twilight Council yet. If he was going for a big gateway harass or a big gateway opening, he'd prioritize the Twilight Council before getting the Robo facility for the War Prism.
Yeah.
Disruptor drops, maybe?
It's gotta be, because the Robo is about to finish up. We do see Lambo just scouring the edges of the map, looking for any kind of hidden proxy, hidden tech. Unfortunately, it's not out on the map. It's in the main base. And as soon as that Robo finishes, show us the bay. Oh, never mind.
Okay, like, yeah, hidden tech. It's in the base. It's right next to the Nexus.
It is. It's not hidden at all, mate.
Well, he's hiding it from the scouting links. Yeah. That's the important part.
It is. So, we've talked about this before because we did see Disruptor drops yesterday and the day before, actually. It's been a little bit more. It's one on the rise recently. About how when you see
especially in PPC.
Yeah, when you see a fast Robo like this, you gotta be feeling either a bay or you see an additional gateway and you're just aggressive. Sure, your gateway units don't have any upgrades, right? They don't have blink or charge or glaives, but you can be incredibly aggressive with this. And Lambo comes in and, mate, he sees it all.
Yeah. That's the advantage of getting Numatized Carapace this early on. You have eyes in the sky, and they move fast.
I love it, mate. He comes in from both angles. He double checks as well. He may even see the War Prism as it pops out. Again, making sure there's no other hidden tech here whatsoever. And yeah, he sees the War Prism.
And he confirms it. Yeah. Only 2 gates for the time being as Rail sets up for a third base. It'd be pretty aggressive with, I imagine, Stalkers. They're kind of the best unit when you don't have any Twilight Council upgrades, aren't they?
Yeah, they definitely can be. He is going in with Adepts instead. The other curious thing about this opener as well is that typically when I see this kind of gateway aggression, it's with 3 gates, but he's only doing this off of 2. So so a lot more conservative here, you know, prioritizing his economy behind this. Also, I guess something that could add to this factor as well is that the War Prism was scouted, so the likelihood of this dealing damage is much lower.
Yeah, with 2 gates, you're not going to be doing too much damage, but at the very least you can put some pressure on your opponent. I'm sure it's not pleasurable at all if you're a Zerg player.
Some pleasure.
You are able to put some pressure on your Zerg opponent, and you can
Mhm.
Yeah, just keep them back for as long as possible. It's especially important as Lambo finishes up his Roach Warren.
That it is. That it is. As we get back into game here, it looks like there was a bit of a hotkey issue, which did delay the Immortal a little bit. Hopefully, it's not the biggest of deals, but it looks like it has been corrected, and we are getting into this game. War Prism looking to get or sneak into the main base. We have plenty of queens here, but there is a little bit of dead space here where there is no vision. Never mind, he goes for the third.
Yeah, where a ton of drones are located. It's a very juicy mineral line, especially with the queens focusing on the Warp Prism instead. We were talking about how you're probably not going to get too much damage done with this, but 4 drones for 1 adept, pretty respectable.
Yeah, not bad damage at all. He also keeps Lambo's attention at home while he gets his third up and running, again being very defensive. And I personally, I appreciate that Rail isn't playing Skytoss. You know, we already saw 2 games of that. We've had our
in
fill.
a row.
Yeah, we have something completely different instead.
That's what we do. He scouted the Roach Warren, so focusing a lot more on the Immortals. Actually, I'm not sure if he did scout the Roach Warren, but Immortals are generally a good unit to have, aren't they, in the PvC?
That they are. He's moving out across the map, not overly committing, just poking the edges in case anything goes down. He, of course, has plenty of sentries to force field. He can micro as well, pick things up with his War Prism. Just pokes in, pokes out.
Can't explain that.
Cannot, man. You cannot, as he is getting ready to switch to transition into that Charge Lot Archon composition.
Yeah, an upgraded Stalkers are decent, but you really want to throw a Twilight Council down at some point if you're going to be committing to gateway units. And yeah, Charged Archon has never really left, but I do feel like it's gotten even more popular, specifically against Roach pushes.
It really has. But what I think what I love most is that, mate, Lambert, he comes in and he sees literally everything. He even finds the Templar Archives that's researching Storm.
He's been so vigilant throughout this entire game. He confirms, yep, no Stargate on the way for you, so I don't have to be too aggressive yet. I can just finish up saturating my 3 bases, get a 4th base, and a hive eventually. Or not even a hive, just a infestation pit for swarm hosts.
Oh my god. I was also assuming Hive when I saw the infestation pit on the way. I was like, yo, yeah, Hive makes sense. You know, get some Vipers running. Go Hydra Lurker Viper, which would be great against this kind of composition. But no, he's mixing things up with getting 10 Swarm Hosts. Oh my god.
That's quite a lot. That's quite a few.
It really is. I haven't seen a Zerg player do this in like a year. Like Cham used to do this all the time in ZVP.
It has been a year, hasn't it? Oh, yeah, I was going to say, yeah, just a couple of months, but no, we're already in September. The end of September 2021.
Yeah, that was pre-Korea Cham. Back when he was in Mexico. But here we go, the Swarm Hosts are coming out. Ooh, some of them have to be used prematurely here to deal with the Zealot run-by, and now Rail is aware of the Swarm Hosts.
And I tell you what, when you see some Swarm Hosts on the map, and you're a player going for Archons, you have to be at least a little bit relieved. As long as you're able to position them well enough.
Yeah, I mean, like, he should be able to deal with the first couple of waves if his army is it's in position, right? With Archons, with Storms as well. But he moves out a little bit, and it looks like the Locust Wave gets in. He's going to be able to target down a couple of buildings.
Yeah, a little bit too exposed by that 3rd base location. Oh, the Templar Archives! That falls, no more Archons will be made for a while, but it surprisingly lives with 5 health left.
Oh my god, 5 HP Templar Archives. At the same time, the Roach Ravager army does hit the 4th base. He's going to force and try and get a kill, but it looks like the army of Rail is not too far behind. Does force the Roaches back, and at the same time, a bit of a Zealot run-by at the 5th of Lambo.
Ooh, actually taking out the Queens, might be able to delay that 5th base as well, but the Zealots, fortunately, were aggroed on top of these Roaches.
God, that they were. Another Locust Wave coming in, finally finishing up that 5 HP Templar Archives. It does finally go down, so no more High Templar, no more Archons.
No more Storm. For the time being, anyway. As Lambo actually doing a lot with a very low supply of Roaches here by the 4th base.
Yeah, and I love how he's playing this out, right? He's using these Locusts and these Roaches to just keep Rail back at home as he's refining his army. You know, he is eventually going to be working towards that Hydra Lurker Viper.
Yeah, has finished up the Hive a little while ago. Doesn't want to rely too much on these swarm hosts, they are not exactly the most reliable source of damage here for Zerg. But they are one of the better zoning tools.
That they are. They force Rail all the way back. The crease rate is insane, by the way. Something that we have to commend because it's right outside both bases here. Meanwhile, the Roach Ravager, oh, it's about to be sandwiched in. Has to be careful. Has to just dip on out.
Yeah, those Roaches taking quite a lot of damage. They do have to dip out, but that will allow the third base to be exposed to the swarm hosts. These Roaches should fall. Rail is kind of all in at this point. He needs to do some equalizing damage, but I'm not convinced he's going to find it.
Exactly, he has to commit. Turning around right now is not an option. He has to just go, kill these Roaches, maybe get 1, 2, 3 bases. But is that even possible? Because in enough time, the Locust Wave is going to reset.
And it will, and Rail is going to find his retreat completely blocked. The only way to go is forward for him. And if he does that, then, well, he's going to meet a face full of Roaches and Ravagers.
Exactly, as the Locust Wave is coming in on top of the High Templar. We do have some nice Thorns, but again, kind of being wasted on the Locusts as the Lurkers are coming out.
And they are. The High Templar gets sniped by the Locust. Some very good storms sticking out about half of the Locusts, but Lambo has so many Swarm Hosts that eventually damage is going to be dealt by them.
Exactly. Rail does hold on for now. He's going to be able to get a base, maybe at a mineral line. But again, the Swarm Hosts, for the most part, they survive, and there are Roaches coming out to reinforce.
And there are. Rail still has a bit of beef on this army. The Stalkers can absolutely fight the Roaches. Much superior range, plus Blink.
Yeah, but what about Roaches in a 360 surround with support of Locusts?
Well, that's a situation where you blink, and you still take damage, because, my god, the Zerg player was everywhere. Lambo chasing Rail all the way back. I don't think Rail has been able to get any economic damage. What? Let's take a quick look. 18 drones have fallen throughout this entire game. That kind of pales in comparison to what Lambo has been able to do across the map. Rail's been in 3 bases for a very long time.
We were talking about Rail being all in and having to kill like at least 2 bases essentially, and he got kind of one. He got a mineral line, and that's kind of it. And now Lambo, he comes across the map. He kept the majority of his Swarm Hosts alive. Rail is on 3 bases, but that is about to be 2.
Yeah. Yep. I like that we were thinking along the same lines here, Late. Great minds.
Are they great?
Well,
I don't know
they're
about
good
that
enough
one.
minds.
Oh god.
And with the fall of that third base, Rail taps out. Lambo takes game number 1.
GG. Well played there, Lambo. I just love the way he teched throughout that entire game. First relying on the Swarm Hosts, then eventually going towards the Lurkers and the Roaches, and we didn't even get to see Vipers. I don't think we got to see...
Yeah,
did we see Lurker upgrades? We did have a Hive.
We did get Seismic Spines towards the end of that game, and I believe he researched Adaptive Talons at some point. Yeah, Lambo really untouching his economy for basically the entire game. Just doing what Zerg does best when you're untouched. He got that Infestation Pit at 6 minutes, and sure, he was using it for Swarm Hosts instead of getting a quick Hive, but that also just meant that he was able to get that Hive as soon as he knew that he could keep Rail on his side of the map.
Yeah, it's one of those things where Rail, I feel like this game, he found out a reason why people play Stargate and play Void Race. You know? It's like, if you don't, this is how games could go. But to be fair, obviously Lambo deserves all the credit because of how on top of scouting he was. He knew every single thing that Rail was doing, and because of that, he was able to respond in kind the way he did.
And when you've got a mind like Lambo, what's it, Rambo? When you've got a mind like Lambo, you know that he's going to be able to adapt just like that to anything he sees. That's why scouting is so important to players like Lambo.
No, Rambo is okay. It works.
Everybody get Rambo for Lambo, exactly.
Oh god,
is that? If only that was like a Sylvester Stallone emote on Twitch.
I was about to say Lambo better have a Rambo emote on Twitch because if he doesn't, like, I mean, it just writes itself.
Exactly. Gotta have a copy pasta.
This is me exposing myself that I'm not a Lambo sub, so I don't know what emotes he has. But yeah, here we go. We're diving into game 2, man.
Yeah, we are. I, unfortunately, am also not a Lambo sub. All of my subs are gifted to me, funnily enough. I just haven't gotten that Lambo sub yet. He's got a lot of viewers, and subs do kind of get... Gift subs can get randomly distributed. But regardless, we are gonna stop talking about how gift subs work and continue our series here on Lightshade LE. We're in the top left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the top left-hand corner. A blue Protoss player coming down originally from the land of Russia, but currently in the land of Poland. That is the flag he's going to be repping, as well as the logo of 3D Clan. He is Rail.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Lightshade LE, we have the German Zerg player. He is red, representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Lambo.
Waiting to see what he scouts.
Yes, for the first time today, we are loading into Lightshade, one of the more smaller maps in the map pool. Again, a map that I wouldn't be too opposed to seeing, some Void Ray play, some Stargates. But at the same time, because the map is so small, like it's not a bad map for a Queen Walk.
It really isn't. And that's exactly what we'll see if Lambo scouts a Stargate, I imagine.
It's like, I'm always on the fence on that, by the way. Like, it's like, yo, like, Queen Roach Ravager pushes, they're so common, right? Like, do them against Void Ray openers. But at the same time, it's like, I imagine the Protoss players have a lot of practice against holding that. And it is totally possible, right?
Yeah.
Whether they try and go into Disruptors or commit to, like, more stack defense. And I don't know.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's one of those things where it's like, Queen Roach Ravager pushes, they're so common. But on the other hand, Queen Roach Ravager pushes, they're so common.
Yeah. I couldn't have said it better myself, mate. That's you're spot on that one. Oh god. So we'll see what happens here on Lightshade, as our eyes are on Rail, because he did something crazy in the previous game. He didn't open up Stargate. He didn't have a Stargate at all for the entirety of that game. So is he going to commit to some more robo gateway based compositions, or is he going to cave to the masses and go for some Void Rays?
Well, not typically a player to fall to the pressure of playing standard, but this game at least, he will be throwing down that Stargate.
Throws in the towel, mate. He's like, you know what? Fine. Okay, I'll do it. I'll go for the Stargate.
Better be worth it.
We'll see. Meanwhile, Lambo, of course, he is prioritizing pneumatized carapace, Overlord speed, so he can dive in, scout everything, see everything, and confirm that it is a Stargate, and whether or not there's going to be a Void Ray.
Yeah, that's kind of the other thing when it comes to a Stargate opening. Obviously, we expect Void Rays, at least one of them, to come out just as a way to deal with Overlords, but a lot of time we have seen Protoss players switch things up quite a bit, go for an Oracle first into a Void Ray, or even triple Oracle if they're feeling particularly aggressive.
There you go. Also, shout out to Kuro. She just let us know that yes, he does have a Rambo emote.
There we have it. All the Lambo subs watching.
Beautiful.
Spam that Rambo for Lambo.
I hope that it goes deeper than that, and there's like deep fakes of like Rambo gifs, but with Lambo's face.
Yeah.
Like there's just so much like content material there. Let's go.
Where he's got like the hoodie and he's running up and down the steps.
It'd be amazing. And then that's not Rambo, but that's Rocky. That's Rocky. That's Rocky, Yaku. That's Rocky. That's the other one. God, you've never seen Rambo, have you? Do you even know what it's about? You're like, yeah, Rambo. You know the one where they box in the ring, right?
Yeah, that's what it is.
God damn it.
It's the one where like the alien comes down, but not the alien from Aliens, but like
the other one.
The alien comes down. Yeah, the other one in the jungle, exactly.
Sure. God damn. I mean, there are some actors that are both in Rocky and in Predator, but not in Rambo. God. My brain.
As this is finally the game that Rail gives us at Robo Bay.
Yeah, we were talking about the Disruptor drops in game number 1, and really we foresaw the future. Really, we saw game number 2, and we mixed things up in our minds. So I apologize to the chat. I'm sorry, but we finally got it.
Yeah, we do. We're looking a little bit too ahead in the future with our clairvoyance.
Exactly, but future, mate, he's in NA, and that's not till next week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You should be saving our, should be saving that for when we cast him then.
You're
Lambo,
not
once again,
casting
so
it.
on top of his scouting, will see this Robo Bay, knows that he doesn't have to overreact to the Stargate opening.
There we go. He sees everything. He even sees the research. He knows 100% that it is going to be disruptor drops coming his way.
That he does. Are we going to see a couple more spore crawlers at the sort of fringe areas of Lambo's base? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, it's all about map vision, right? You need your Lings and Roaches and Ravagers to be in position to be there once the Disruptor gets dropped, so you can just dive on top of it, force a pickup, or even manage to get a kill on the Disruptor before a shot goes up.
Yeah, that's always ideal. Well, even more ideal is if the Purification Nova gets thrown out and you kill the Disruptor before it lands. That's a little bit of a moral victory.
It feels good.
Morale victory. It does.
Yeah. As a Terran player, you can relate in a very similar scenario.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Can also relate when I target fire the Void Ray and I'm a little bit too late. Purification Nova lands on half my bio anyway.
Oh god, the Warp Prism!
The Queen's on position deal with the Warp Prism!
Oh my god, Warp Prism losing all of its shields, a little bit of hull damage, and just like that, Rail, he's forced all the way back.
That he is. Has to rotate all the way around into the main base now. Losing so much time. Time that Lambo is going to utilize to get the Lurker Den out. Not going to be utilized in the defense here, but going to be utilized much later on in his pushes.
Yeah, I mean, it makes so much sense. He goes in for another scout. Like, because of the opener, he knows that Queens are in position again. Oh my god. But he knows that there's going to be a ground-based army coming out here. It's not Stargate. It's not a transition into double Stargate Void Ray. He confirms that, by the way, just in case. And because that Lurkers are what you need.
They really are. Especially against Zealots, jeez. This Rail is going for something pretty similar as to what he did in game number 1. But of course, with that Robo Bay, he has the option of, I don't know, getting out Colossus if Lambo goes too deep into Zerglings or Hydralisks, getting even more Disruptors out, which are definitely ideal against Lurkers.
Exactly. And Lambo, he's just ramping up towards that. Something else that's really interesting is that he has been relatively passive. Like, Rail, he's going to start up and running. It's perfectly fine. He has his 4th on the way. But it's all going to come down. It's all going to culminate in this one big push with Hydras, with Lurkers, with... I was about to say Vipers. Yeah, Hive is done, man. It's ready. It's ready to go.
And Vipers are, in fact, on the way, syncing up the Hive so well with this Lurker Den, he immediately gets Seismic Spines. Lambo has not missed a beat at all when it comes to his macro, and that's kind of what happens when you leave the Berserk player alone. And you're unable to really pressure them.
And the problem is that the onus was on Rail to deal damage, because he went for the Disruptor opening, and it did nothing. It did absolutely nothing. He never got a single shot off. The one Disruptor is now a part of this army, but like, again, Lambo has just been so free to do whatever he wants. There is a Warp Prism sneaking into the main base, though, as the armies are meeting in the middle of the map.
Yeah, very cheeky warp in will do wonders right now for Rail as Lambo is focused on his front line.
Yeah, a couple of Queens are going to go down. Disruptor shot finally goes off, does get one Lurker, and at the same time the Zealots wreak havoc in the main.
Very quick pull from the drones, though. Lambo will be evacuating the vast majority of them. What tech damage can Rail do, though, with that drop? That's what I'm looking out for. No Ravagers yet, so these force fields actually doing a very good job of keeping the Zerg army at bay.
Yeah, at the same time, though, Lambo, he cleans up the army in the main base, gets a yoink on some of these Archons.
Very expensive unit right now for Rail. He can't afford to lose too many of them.
Exactly, and what's dangerous now is that Rail, he was trying to split the attention of Lambo, but now he's dealt with the harassment. He can focus everything on this main army. The Vipers are getting even more energy, getting ready to just dive on top of that Disruptor.
Yeah, Lambo has to be so careful. He doesn't want to move those Vipers on top of the Archons, but he does find the angle to yoink the Disruptor. Very good by Lightning Clouds as well, forcing Lambo to get a little too close for comfort.
Exactly, and what's Rail going to do? Is he really going to try and brute force his way through 6 Lurkers? Like, that's just not going to work.
He realizes this, he backs away, but he sort of knows that he can't afford to just go all the way back home and try to out macro from here. Lambo is already finishing up his, what is his, 6th base? I can count.
His 5th is on the way as he tries to get on top of the Lurkers, but the detection gets taken down. The Lurkers do survive. Only 2, but 2 is more than enough for Lambo to hold on.
Especially when the detection gets sniped.
Exactly. And now Rail, he has to turn back. He has to return to his fourth base. The fourth, which he only just now saturates. Lambo already remaxing.
Yeah, you can kind of do that when you have 5 bases worth of larva. The High Templar, uber exposed, tries to morph one of them into an Archon, but that just leaves it as a sitting duck. The rest of the Archons are starting to fall. Some decent juggling on the Warp Prism, but even that is starting to get pretty low. The Vipers are now in position for some key yoinks. He doesn't even need to use them. GG is called. Lambo takes that series 2-0. The Rambos have really paid off for him.
Just like Rook.